Welcome to the Stateless Standard, where we dismantle the myths of state power and ignite the golden torch of true liberty. For the stateless against the statists, the people against the powerful. Today, we peel back the velvet glove of democracy promotion to reveal the iron fist beneath. Our topic? How the British invented color revolutions. You know the script. Protests erupt, flowers and gun barrels, a peaceful regime change, and suddenly a new leader dances to the tune of Western puppeteers. Sound familiar? From the Arab Spring to whispers about 2020 America, these aren't organic uprisings. They're engineered coups, baptized in the cold waters of British imperial cunning. We'll trace this sordid tale from foggy London boardrooms to bloodless battlefields in Lisbon and Prague. Educational? Absolutely. We'll unpack the history with precision. Interesting? We'll expose the hypocrisy that would make even a Viennese economist chuckle in disbelief. And cynical? Oh yes, because when states promote democracy, they're really just swapping one leash for another, all while the people foot the bill. Grab your notes, light that torch, and let's begin. This is a quick but deep dive, no fluff, no ads interrupting the truth. If you're new here, hit subscribe and that thumbs up. We're building a community of free minds in a world of chained ones. Picture this. It's September 15th, 2020. The air is thick with election dread. On Tucker Carlson's show, former Trump strategist Darren Beattie drops a bombshell. What's unfolding before our eyes, he says, is a very specific type of coup called the color revolution. Beattie wasn't mincing words. He described it as a regime change playbook favored by America's national security elite, a scripted chaos around contested elections designed to override the people's will. For decades, the U.S. had exported this model abroad. Topple inconvenient leaders, install compliant ones, all under the saintly banner of democracy. But now, Beattie warned, the same machinery was grinding against Donald Trump himself. Events from November 3, 2020 to January 6, 2021 bore him out. Call it a Biden coup or a Trump insurrection. Either way, it didn't smell like a garden variety election. Mail-in madness, midnight ballot drops, big tech censorship. Fishy? Undeniably. But Beattie went further, shattering a taboo that got Fox News' Glenn Beck canceled a decade earlier for merely fingering George Soros. No, Beattie accused the U.S. government itself, specifically a shadowy cadre of Atlanticists. What's an Atlanticist? In polite diplomatic circles, it's someone pushing tight U.S.-Europe ties, especially via NATO. But dig deeper, and it's code for putting British interests over American ones. These aren't rogue patriots. They're heirs to an empire that never truly died, just rebranded itself as your friendly neighborhood ally. To understand this, we must rewind to the British front groups pulling strings in Washington. As detailed in our previous video on how the Brits sold globalism to America, outfits like the Council on Foreign Relations, born in 1921, aren't think tanks, they're Trojan horses. Funded by Anglophile tycoons, they whisper eternal loyalty. America foots the bill for Britain's wars, while London calls the shots. Atlanticism isn't partnership, it's parasitism, with Uncle Sam as the hapless host. Bettie's Revolver News expose laid it bare. He spotlighted U.S. NGOs, non-governmental sure, but government-funded to the tune of billions, like the National Endowment for Democracy, or NDE, and its spawn, the International Republican Institute and National Democratic Institute. These are the democracy promotion factories, churning out color revolutions worldwide. Train activists, seed protests, launder influence through civil society. All kosher, right? Wrong. Beattie called them Atlanticist NGOs, and here's the kicker. The same color revolution pros, Norm Eisen, the Obama holdover turned Trump tormentor, pop up in the anti-Trump resistance. America built Frankenstein's monster, arming these subversion squads to topple foes abroad. Now, they're home, gnawing at the hand that fed them. Who sicked them on us? The Atlanticists, of course, those British tethered puppeteers ensuring the empire's game never ends. From an anarcho-capitalist lens, it's poetic justice laced with poison. States breed monsters to control others. Eventually, the beasts turn feral. The people? Mere pawns in the statist chessboard, sacrificed for the powerful's perpetual power grab. So what's the root of this Atlanticist weed? The Oxford English Dictionary peddles a sanitized version. Military economic ties between Europe and North America. NATO cheerleading. Cute. But strip the varnish, and it's the 1941 Atlantic Charter, Churchill and Roosevelt's love letter. cementing US-UK dominance, with everyone else as expendable extras. NATO? Lord Ismay nailed it. Keep the Russians out, the Americans in, and the Germans down. A bullies' alliance dressed as brotherhood. Flash to 1944. Charles de Gaulle gripes about Yankee meddling in France. Churchill's retort? If Britain must choose between Europe and the open sea, every time I have to decide between you and Roosevelt, I will always choose Roosevelt. Brutal. France? A footnote. The Atlantic community was always the Anglosphere's club, with America as the muscle-bound doorman. This gospel traces to 1917, courtesy of Walter Lippmann, the father of Atlanticism. In the New Republic, hijacked by British Fabian Norman Angell, courtesy of Andrew Carnegie's pro-empire slush fund, Lippmann penned in defense of the Atlantic world. Germany? Barbarians at the gate. America must rally to the Western world, that profound web of interest across the pond. Propaganda? Pure vintage Brit, empire as civilization's savior against Eastern hordes. Angell later decoded it. Any global order needs a nucleus of authority. The English-speaking world, lording over the West. Lippmann didn't invent this, he echoed it. From an Austrian economics view, it's cartelism on steroids, states colluding to monopolize violence and markets, externalities dumped on the sovereign individual. Enter the Round Table, that secretive cabal bankrolled by Cecil Rhodes's ghost. Around 1909, British elites saw the writing on the wall. Empire's costs were bankrupting the Isles. Solution? Offload policing to America, establish the CFR for back-channel control, birth transnational leashes like the UN, NATO, Five Eyes. By 1945, the US was hooked. Endless wars, our dime, their dictation. Decolonization? Not defeat, darling, rebrand. From 1946 to 1980, Britain freed colonies one by one, but only after installing comprador puppets to honor old deals. Rebel, get the boot. Formal empire became informal neocolonialism. Extract resources, evade accountability. Marx got the mechanics right, but missed the class truth. Statists versus the stateless, empire's eternal because people are too trusting. To grease this shift, Britain needed subtle scalpels, not broadswords. Enter passive resistance, cooked up during World War I by Bertrand Russell. Conquerors toppled not by bullets, but by civilians' stony silence. Influenced military minds like Basil Liddell Hart, it morphed into psywar gold. Fast forward to 1960. PM Harold Macmillan tells South Africa's parliament, "The wind of change is blowing." Britain urges Europe to decolonize, lest rivals snatch the spoils. Portugal balks. Salazar's Estado Novo clings to Angola and Mozambique, fighting guerrilla wars. Britain seethes. April 25, 1974. The Carnation Revolution. Prime Minister Marcelo Caetano falls in a soft coup. Protesters stuff carnations in soldiers' rifles. Poetic, bloodless, colorful. Britain? Officially uninvolved, but psywar fingerprints abound. Days before, the Times screams of a Mozambique massacre. Wilson brands it genocide, threatens NATO boot. Caetano's London trip? Cancelled. Coup plotters? Emboldened. Post-fall, Britain rushes recognition advising the junta on empire autopsy. Coincidence? In statist theater, never. Enter Gene Sharp, the Gandhi of Washington, sainted by activists for the politics of nonviolent action, the Color Revolution Bible. Sharp? No wide-eyed pacifist. 30 years at Harvard's CIA Annex, the Center for International Affairs. But the real tell, a decade in England, 1955 and 1965, Oxford PhD in tow. His masterpiece? That very thesis, forged in British peace movement forges. By 1967, Tavistock's Fred Emery prophesies swarming adolescents, youth mobs as regime wreckers by the 90s. Spot on. 1989, velvet revolutions ripple through the Soviet bloc. Czechoslovakia's velvet, interchangeable with color. Orchestrated by Western fronts, the same he spawned beady-fingered. Democracy promotion sounds noble, echoing Wilson's "Make the world safe for democracy." Commendable in spots, sure, the Soviet fall freed nations from red tyranny. But here's the cynicism. These tools, born to liberate, chain anew. Neocolonial NGOs build democracy by building dependencies, IMF loans as shackles, color coups as course corrections. The stateless people cheer the flowers, blind to the thorns. Atlanticists ensure the empire's map stays pink, just fainter. From a libertarian class lens, it's class warfare unmasked. The statist elite, British lords to beltway bandits, versus us, the productive sovereigns. Austrian thinkers like Mises warned of interventionism's blowback. Here it is, revolutions eating their makers. The powerful don't fall, they evolve, shedding skins while we bleed. So what now? Color revolutions aren't history, they're playbook. Spot them. Scripted outrage, NGO footprints, media megaphones, and resist. Build parallel economies, agorist networks, true voluntarism. The golden torch of the stateless standard burns for that. A world where states wither and free association reigns. If this lit a fire, smash like, share with a fellow skeptic, and subscribe. We drop truth bombs weekly. Comment below. Ever smelled a color revolution up close? Until next time, question the powerful, empower the people. This is the Stateless Standard. Torch high, stay free.